All right, all our guests are there with us. Thank you so much for joining us. We have Gaurang Shah, we have Avinash Gorakshakar, we have Vijay Chopra and Ruchit Jain with us. Let me start with Gaurang. As usual, gentlemen, I'm going to take your top picks and then revisit them in closer detail so that our viewers can get the picks in first. Gaurang, let me start with you.
Morning on in three stock investment ideas from a long-term point of view. First one is State Bank of India. Second one is Bharat Forge from the auto ancillary business, and the third one is from the pharma pack Cipla. And our sense is, and of course we've been maintaining a positive coverage for a long time. Our sense is that all the negative news as far as Bharat Forge is concerned is a thing of the past. We have a target of somewhere close to about 980. On Cipla we have a target of 700, and on State Bank of India, with the positive tailwind in terms of the subsidiary merger, we have a target of 340. This is a very conservative target on State Bank of India. When the merger process is done and dusted, and if the synergies are positive, which we believe will be, we will definitely revise the target upwards on all three.
Okay, so conservative target on SBI, and you also have Bharat Forge and Cipla. Avinash, your calls?
Good morning. We have two calls from a long-term perspective for the next 12 months. We have a buy on Rallies India, where we feel that this is a good agri play and we could see a target price of around 265. And within the paper space, we like this mid-cap company called JK Paper. We believe that over the next 12 months, there are several earning triggers. We are looking at a target price of 78 here.
All right, Vijay Chopra is here with us. Mr. Chopra, you have Aksh Opti Fiber on your buy list, and that's had a lot of interest in the last few days in terms of turnover. Could you take us through Aksh Opti Fiber and the other two counters that you have on your buy list?
Yeah, good morning, Anand. I think that the stock has shown a lot of resilience, and it has come up quite smartly. And I believe that if somebody buys it with a very short-term perspective, there is some juice for him. And even for a long-term perspective, I think that the target price I would give is about 32, 33 rupees. So it's a decent upside from the present level of 23 odd. The second call I would like to give is Tata Chemical, which I think is also very, very intricately poised, and I think that the stock can raise up to 600 odd levels if somebody holds with a longer term perspective. In the short term, I think that 570 odd levels is quite possible. My third call is Oriental Bank of Commerce. We have seen a decent upside yesterday in the stock, and the stock closed at around 130. And I would give a target of 134 in the short term, and in the longer term, the stock can run up to 150 odd.
All right, so the targets on your screen are all short-term calls, as you heard Mr. Chopra. He's giving different targets if you are willing to hold them as investment options. Ruchit Jain's here. Ruchit, give us your three calls.
Yeah, hi, good morning. Well, I have three calls from trading perspective, maximum time frame 1 to 2 weeks. First call is a buy call in Britannia with stop loss below 3415 for target of 3725. Second call is a sell call in Cipla for a couple of weeks time frame. Stop loss below above 597, target of 545. And my last call is a sell call in Aditya Birla Nuvo with stop loss above 1395 and target of 1260.
About the Nifty, Ruchit, what is it looking like right now?
Well, probably if we see the overall trend on the weekly and the monthly charts, then definitely the broader trend or the medium to long term trend still remains positive. But we have seen in last 1 week of time frame, the corrective move with a gap down opening on Monday certainly suggests that in short term we may see a corrective phase within this uptrend. So those who are trading from a short term perspective for 1 to 2 weeks, we are expecting further downside in the markets up to 8600 levels, and on any pullback moves today or tomorrow's trading session, 8760 to 8780 is going to act as a stiff resistance. So those who are long-term investors, I think wait for some sort of decline around 85, 80, 8600 to again go enter long positions in the market. But for traders, we would advise to create short positions around 8780 for target of 8600.
All right, let us, Pankaj, take us through the stocks that are in focus today, and then we'll come back and discuss a little bit of what is the call on Reliance Communications with our guests. Pankaj.
So apart from Reliance, there were a whole host of results that came out. Prestige Estates, we'll be talking to the management soon. 20% higher in terms of profit. Total income was down about 38 odd percent. Overall, EBITDA margins were better and debt was slightly on the lower side. Decent set of numbers, but on the headline numbers, it seems as if the total income miss was quite a bit. NBCC surprisingly declared not that great set of numbers. Last 3-4 quarters, the numbers have been in line or slightly higher. But this time around, profits just rose to about 12%, 46 crores. 57, 58 was slightly among the lower estimates. 60 crores was around the consensus estimate. So that came in as a miss. They have two divisions. Real estate did not particularly do that well, and that led to the numbers going down. But the engineering as well as the overall other businesses that they have did pretty well. EBITDA margins were expected at 4.7%. They came in at 3.6 odd percent. So that was a slight bit of miss. BEML declared a loss. There was no particular expectation, but loss on a year-to-year basis have widened. Total income came down by 50%, and that was the reason for cost overruns, which led to slightly higher loss. For Unitech, the loss came in at 45 crores. Now, last year, same time, they did about 280 crores, but that was not a clean number, but they have a lot of one-offs in that particular quarter. Overall, no expectation, but the numbers on the face of it continue to look pretty weak. Anantraj was the next one, 8% decline, 12.3 crores in terms of profit. Total income was flat. This is lower than estimates, but better than what some of the other real estate companies have actually declared. EBITDA margins came in at 37 odd percent. EBITDA on an absolute basis came in at 27 odd crores. Another real estate company, DB Realty, declared numbers. Losses came in at 9 crores. Total income was down 90%. So basically there was no sales, or sales was absolutely on the flattish side. And Rolta India also declared numbers. Profits were down 29% to about 23 crores. Total income came in at 800 crores. Margins were also on the lower side. Overall, real estate numbers continue to be pretty weak, what essentially has come overnight. Right. Also some of the names that are in focus in terms of apart from results. So Hero MotoCorp will be down 32 rupees. It's a ex-dividend. Cox and Kings will be down by about a rupee. Again, it goes ex-dividend today. So both these names will be in focus. Advanced Enzyme Technology company declares numbers. It's a recent listing. There are no estimates for this company, but a lot of action into this name. Bayer India is listed here in India. Monsanto India is also listed. Globally, Bayer, that's the parent of Bayer India, has gone ahead and acquired Monsanto, again globally, for a $66 billion deal. It was one of the biggest deals that we have seen in 2016. So far, both these stocks could be in focus. Monsanto India may also see an open offer, but however, timeline, pricing of open offer, it's just too early to actually evaluate those parameters. Ashok Leyland will also be in focus. One of the Hinduja group companies, Hinduja Foundries, will merge with Ashok Leyland. It was expected. We got the exchange ratio as well. 40 shares of Ashok Leyland for 100 held in Hinduja Foundry. This will lead to a dilution of about 2.9%. Street is concerned about this dilution and what is the addition that they would get. However, no further statements were given by Ashok Leyland. The EV of this business is around 1600 odd crores. It's currently a loss-making business. At the bottom of your screen, you can see the pre-open prices. It's down 2.5% in the pre-opening session.
Okay, let me just get a quick word in, because we have just about 1.5 minutes left before markets open. A quick word in about Reliance Communication and Aircel merger. So, good or bad? Let me start with Mr. Chopra. Good, bad for Reliance Communication stockholders?
Good in the short term, because Arcom is going to pay a lot of debt due to this deal, and the subscriber base is going to increase. But again, I think the next 1.5 years for the entire telecom pack is going to be exciting to see. But I don't see any reason why long-term investments should be made in this sector, because there's going to be a lot of cash outgo due to the spectrum buying and the kind of challenge Reliance Jio has put in.
All
so
I just want to get in Gaurang and Avinash as well. Very short 10-second answers on Arcom. I'll go back into detail once markets open. Gaurang, good, bad?
So it's bad, and I hope it doesn't get ugly.
All right, okay. Avinash, what is your take?
I think clearly, good in the short term, but longer term, I think it would take a long time to actually make this deal work, because clearly pricing pressure and ARPU pressure is going to continue. So it remains to be seen longer term how value gets generated for shareholders.
Is there a case, quickly Gaurang, is there a case that this might then be acquired by our Jio, Reliance Jio, as a backup for the 3G network?
Well, those speculations have been in the market and I'm not competent enough to comment. There are rumors in the market.
All right, okay. Markets are just going to open. Pankaj, take over.
Right, we should get the opening bell anytime soon. Arcom, of course, will be in focus and the entire telecom space. So we have the first ticks coming in. BHEL 85 paisa higher, ITC up 1 rupees, Nifty is up 20 odd points. So it's higher than essentially what SGX was indicating. Arcom first tick, it was showing a 10% pop in the pre-open in the morning, but it's just up 2.8, 2.9, 52, 53 for Arcom. Seems that probably, it's not exciting for a lot of players in terms of this deal. For 52.4 as far as Arcom is concerned. Volumes, of course, are always pretty high on this name. So 1.8, 1.9 million shares. Volumes are looking pretty good on this name. Some of the other earnings impact, let's start with the NBCC. Okay, Prestige Estates, it's down 2%. Sales was a miss, 188 rupees. We'll be talking to the management at 10:30 today. So Prestige Estates is in focus, 2% sort of a decline right now. NBCC numbers were not that great. Okay, 254 is where it is opened, but numbers were on the weaker side. It was lower than estimates. However, the engineering segment, where expectations are pretty high, did pretty well. BEML is another one which declared numbers, 7% decline. As we told you, losses expanded. Sales was on the lower side, and that's the reason for this sort of a move that we are seeing. 45,000 shares traded for BEML. Unitech 5% higher, but I don't think that it's reacting to numbers. It's broadly a momentum counter and continues to be so. 5% higher, 1.6, 1.7 million shares are traded. Anantraj is down 1.6%. Again, it's a company that declared numbers, 1.7% decline. Not much in terms of volume. It's not a very frequently traded and spoke name as well. DB Realty is down 5%. Sales was clearly a miss, and overall you just get a sense that there is weakness into this space. So that's a name which is down about 5%. Rolta absolutely flat at this moment. Numbers were not that great, but at the same time, again, it's not a name where you see a lot of action happening. HCC is absolutely flat. Just wanted to point out two names. So MMTC, they also declared numbers. MMTC is up around 6% right now. Reddington India is up 3%. Remember, the stock of Apple has been going up for the last few days since we have the new launch coming in. Reddington is the official supplier of iPhone products here in India, and it has been going up. It's up around 3% right now. Arcom continues to be the way it is, 2.6, 2.7% higher. NBCC is up close to 2%. Overall on it, you get a sense that not much in terms of action, but probably names like BEML, Ashok Leyland are reacting to their numbers.
Right. Let's just pull up the counters which have the highest turnover right now. And as usual, we're going to take the top 50 counters which have the highest turnover and then try and look at which ones have gained the most or lost the most. Gitanjali Gems continues the stellar run. Results came out, very good numbers, Q1 numbers, which were released, and yesterday as well it went up. Today 11.3% up. As Pankaj was mentioning, Unitech, that's up 7.5%. And movement, you can see that the kind of momentum driven it is, that it opened about 8% up, dropped to 7, now 5, now 6.5. So you can see that a lot of movement taking place. It's a 6-7 rupee stock. Patel Engineering, it came out with numbers as well, but despite that, the stock is up 4%. Perhaps the markets expected a bigger loss than it's actually done. It has about 20 crores odd loss, loss almost tripled, but Patel Engineering is up 4%, of course, also on the basis of the fact that it could probably get some of that arbitration money. Cox & Kings is up 2.6%, Jindal Steel and Power up 2.5%, Reliance Communication, the day high today on Reliance Communication was 53 rupees, so it's lost about 1% from where it was, now 1.9, 1.7% dropping as we speak. Monsanto, very high volume. This is a illiquid counter, and as Pankaj mentioned, that Bayer is buying Monsanto. They're going to give about $128 per share in the US, and people are probably expecting some money here as well. 2% up. NBCC is up 1.8%. Engineering division has done well. Real estate division hasn't done that well. And there is also Tata Power, Century Textiles, and UPL Limited. UPL, as Pankaj will take you through, two buy calls on UPL. That's up 1.3%. Let's look at the ones which are losing right now. BEML, as Pankaj mentioned, numbers were disappointing. 6.8% down. Ashok Leyland, the merger that they're going through has had a negative call from almost all brokerages. It's down 3%. Yes Bank continues to lose. Yesterday it gained a little bit, down 2.7% today. Reliance Capital down 2%. Reliance Infrastructure down 1.9%. Castrol India down about 1.6%. So that's the picture right now in the in the top traded counters that we are looking at. Then we come back to more details on each of these things. NBCC. Let me ask Avinash. NBCC, Avinash, do you track at?
Yeah.
Now, the numbers on the face of it aren't that great, right? But were they expected to be like this?
No, I think clearly the market was expecting for us better traction at the net profit level, and I think the real estate division slightly under-delivered. There was weak execution there, but the plus point for the company is, they are sitting on a order book of almost 72,000 crores, and clearly I think the market expects that the second half will be much better than the first half. So obviously, this is a stock which has got very little liquidity. In fact, now they're coming out with an with a FPO to increase the liquidity, and clearly with the stock being split, there is renewed interest from a lot of HNIs and funds. So I would say that one should obviously look at it from a long-term perspective. Definitely this quarter numbers are not a kind of a picture of the overall kind of growth potential.
Okay. Mr. Chopra, wanted to get a sense from you whether you track any of Patel Engineering, HCC, any of these counters. There are construction majors with heavy debt. A lot of that debt actually can be changed with arbitration. But other markets currently a little over-enthused about these? Because I just look at Patel Engineering's numbers came out, they were quite dismal, but the markets are still buying them.
Yeah, but I would prefer an HCC over a Patel Engineering because, HCC has a reputation of delivering fantastic projects, and they have the capability of undertaking very daunting tasks. So as a company, I like Ajit Gulabchand's management, and the results which the company posted were also good, I would say. And with this arbitration thing coming to their rescue, I think there's going to be some cash which is going to flow in the balance sheet, which is going to give a lot of confidence to these companies. So my take is, if somebody buys HCC with a longer term perspective, this might be a probable multi-bagger. And these stocks have been hit hard over a period of last 4-5 years. So I think that if they are coming back sharply, there is no surprise in this. Probably in the short term, you might see HCC trading at 55 odd levels.
Okay, Ruchit, I have two stocks for you, and I'm going to start with NBCC because it's been consolidating after hitting that recent high for some time now. It from that 267 odd number that it did in July, from there it dropped but has been consolidating in this range for some time. Is there any potential of breakout here?
Well, if you observe the daily charts, then the breakout which came in July, the volumes were quite high over there. But after that, what has happened in last 1.5 months, we have not seen any follow-up volumes or any follow-up buying coming in the stock. And that's the main reason we have seen some sort of consolidation now going in. On the daily charts, couple of days back in Monday session, the stock has formed a bearish engulfing pattern, which technically is not poised well for short-term trading. So I think some sort of consolidation would continue. I don't think that in near term the stock would give a breakout and go past this 263, 265 resistance area. To 263 to 235, 240 would be the consolidation phase. So one should avoid this stock at current levels, at least from short-term trading. Let the stock again come to the lower end of the consolidation range around 235, 240 range. I think then that again, if anyone is looking to buy, then the risk reward would be favorable at those levels.
Reliance Communication again has quite a stiff resistance around that 55 rupees mark, or even around 53.40 odd. Now today it went up to about and currently trading at about 52. If you look at the way in which today's trades have happened, it opened, there was a gap up opening, it shot up, and then actually the current level is lower than the open. So how would you trade Reliance Communications, Ruchit?
See, at current levels, I won't suggest to go long on current levels. Usually when we see gap up openings on stock or in any of the index, what needs to be seen is whether there is a follow-up buying over there. As of now, there is follow-up buying coming in post gap up in the stock. So that is one of the reason, which due to which I think buying should not be done. Another thing, if we see last 6-7 months of data, then the stock has been in a broad consolidation phase of 45 to 55, and unless there's a follow-up buying and stock again crosses the resistance of 55, I think this consolidation phase would continue. And as the stock approaches higher end of the range, 53, 54, 55, there would be more of a profit booking coming in at these levels rather than renewed or fresh buying. So let the follow-up buying momentum coming, and in case only if the stock crosses the resistance of 55, then only one should look into going long into the stock from short-term perspective.
Yeah, short-term perspective is the key thing there, because again around that 60 level again it'll find some resistance. All right, I just want to come back to Arcom because I just gave you gentlemen very little time and I think Gaurang took the least. Are you clear about this merger process at all, Gaurang? Because it says it reduces Arcom's debt by 20,000 crore, right? But the new entity will still be owned, 50% of the new entity will be owned by Arcom, and that new entity will have debt.
So let me go on record to say that we have a sell recommendation for a long time on Arcom, All and our sense is that first of all, two negatives don't make a positive, and new name does not turn around the fortunes of the company. It is the ability and capability of the new merged entity. How do they succeed in terms of doing their business? And as we all know, in India, cellular service provider sector is a highly competitive sector with wafer thin margins, and that competition has only got intense with the destructive pricing model of Reliance Jio. If you look at not only last 6 months or 1 year data, but last 3 year or 4 year or 5 year historical data of Arcom, it is given a terrible underperformance. Point number one. Point number two, any uptick, whichever you see, whether it is 5% or 10% on fallback of any news flow, is not going to be sustainable, because there is a lot of holding, a lot of people have the stock at crazy levels, much beyond where the market price is right now, at a higher level, elevated level. And of course, there is more of activity in this counter from a trading angle, not any fundamental. And more often there is news flow of either, company wanting to sell their tower business or any non-core business, or either elder brother wanting to buy over younger brother's company, etc., which is of course not very clear, and it's just a gossip one in the market. So, you're prudent. My sense is that you are better off buying a Bharti Airtel rather than a Reliance Communication. And with 3,800 crore that each of these entities will have to put in, I don't think it's going to make things change around for better anytime sooner. So, at best, this is a trading idea, not an investment idea.
At best, a trading idea, and probably because today's trading idea, because it was up 2.5% or 3%. Right now, just up 0.5%. Avinash, I just want to come back to you. How seriously do you take the announcement that the synergies between the two merged entities is going to create a net present value of 20,000 crore? Because, one of the valuation teachers, Ashwath Damodaran, says that when you hear the word synergy, just sell the stock.
My sense is, I think clearly, this kind of merger has come because of the situation which has come post now Jio, and clearly the kind of pricing pressure, the kind of pressure on ARPUs is going to continue, and I don't think you're going to see a kind of a value accretion to the shareholders of Reliance Communication in the short term. I think clearly it might take a year and a half to see how this merger actually pans out. The only plus point is Aircel comes with some new circles, and clearly where Reliance Communication was not present, so they get new customers, new pockets where they could operate. I think in terms of the competitive positioning, my sense is telecom is going to be facing for really difficult times, and probably, as Gaurang said, this is a trading buy, not an investment buy. In the telecom space, I think clearly there's going to be a lot of pain ahead.
On a day like this, when you make these announcements, obviously you come with a bit of a treasure chest to keep your stock propped up, and once that money starts running out, then it becomes a little difficult. So there you see, Arcom is now just 0.3% up, 0.29% up. So people who wanted to go long and had monies to put in, they're actually facing a lot of profit booking right now. So they've put in that money initially. Now they're probably waiting for it to come down again to put in the rest, because there would obviously be people who want to go long. They believe in the story. And, Mr. Chopra, again, if I look at Reliance Communication, the only thing that would be worth looking at is whether that merger of two large players, two relatively large players, makes it better for them if they want to sell out at some other point in life. If there's a second stage of consolidation, then they'll probably get higher valuation than just being smaller entities.
Well, you're absolutely spot on, and I think that this is just for the meantime, we are seeing all this happening, and probably this entire entity is going to be sold off to either some foreign player or some domestic player. Now, my question is, from where will the money come? If at all, the predatory pricing which Reliance Jio has come up to, most of the things are absolutely free for a year or so. From where will the money come to fund all this? Maybe Reliance as such has has a separate fund for that. But for the other companies who are already reeling under a lot of pressure, look at Idea. Aditya Birla has actually done a lot of structuring in its within its companies, and this entire merger is starting with huge debt. I would say that when your starting point is dead, from where will the money come? From where will you fund the expansion? From where will you get the subscriber base further? So probably this entire entity is going to be sold off over a period of time after creating some valuation. So you are spot on there, I guess.
All right, just wanted to understand a little bit more about what are you doing in other spaces. Mr. Chopra, we saw a bit of defensive buying in IT when the markets collapsed, which seems to suggest that if the markets do collapse and there's a September rate hike, something happens, bond yields start going up, then IT might become a temporary defensive play. So is it worth looking at that space at all right now?
I would look at pharma rather than IT, because I'm not very sure upon the growth prospects of IT as of now.
Gaurang, you have a long call on IT, right? If I'm not mistaken.
We do maintain a positive coverage, and this whole business of US Fed rate rising the interest rates, I think we've been speculating on it from December, Jan, since the time they did the last hike of 25 basis point. And I think yesterday there was some reports, and I am of the opinion that the sooner they do it, the better it is, because we can get back to business.
Right.
And we as a brokerage house don't see any possibility of either a September or a December rate hike. If in case it has to happen, possibly first calendar quarter of Jan, Feb, March 2017 is when it will happen. And even if it does happen before that, how much of dollar flows which have already come into our market do we expect to go back into the home country? And does it really warrant that? That's point number one. Point number two, I think by the time they do that rate hike, we will have enough domestic data points to support our markets. And we have seen some decent flows coming in from the mutual fund SIP route into our market, especially in the month of August. It was quite robust. So our sense is that you will see markets performing well. Consolidation period is there, and it is not long back onion. Budget Feb 2016, we were at what, 68.25 if I'm not mistaken on the Nifty spot, and recently we saw of 8900 plus.
Right.
Now in a matter of 6-8 months, if you've gone this far, it is only prudent to expect some amount of consolidation and correction. We believe IT is something that will not do well at least for the next 2 or 3 quarters, but from a year and a half, 2 year perspective, there is none of the companies that can do without information technology, and innovation is something that will lead the IT companies to a greater level in terms of their products and profit margin. Our sense is that Infosys, TCS, HCL Tech, Tech Mahindra are some of the investment ideas that you can definitely look from a long-term point of view.
Ruchit, one final question. Do you think that most of the heavy IT heavyweights are actually they have supports very close by, and therefore any sell-off there is limited?
So probably if we even if we just observe the Nifty IT index, then around 10,150 there's a very strong support coming in. We have seen this index consolidating around those supports since last 5 to 6 trading sessions. So definitely a pullback move could be expected. However, that won't be a change of the trend quite soon. But just because due to for a pullback move up to 10,600, 10,650, I think one can go long from trading perspective. Amongst the stocks, Infosys being the most heavyweight within this sector, and also trading at a support could be a candidate for a pullback move. So I think I'm not very optimistic on the IT sector.
No, the
for
reason
a big
I'm
up move
asking
in
you,
short term,
Ruchit, is
but
that is, a lot of people are probably waiting for, there are some long calls in that space, and a lot of people are saying that it's going to correct further, let's wait for that. But if one looks at the technical charts, then it looks like that the correction, most of the correction is done for the time being, right? Is that a fair thing to say?
Well, I would still wait before concluding that the most of the correction has been done, because if we observe the daily or the weekly charts, even if when you is looking from investment perspective, and if we look at longer term charts, weekly or the monthly charts, there are no signs of any bottoming out over here. So I think some sort of corrective move, if we see in the next 3 to 4 months, would be there after a pullback move again. So don't go for bottom fishing, expecting that the stocks or the index has bottomed out over here. Let some positive signs coming in the index in terms of higher top, higher bottom formation or good volumes on up move. Until that comes, I think this consolidation phase in this sector would continue.
All right, thank you so much, Ruchit, for joining us. I just want to quickly take your disclosures. I know we've already run that while you were speaking, but if there's anything else that you would like to say.
Whatever stocks we have recommended today, I don't have any personal holdings, but we have given it to our clients, some of them, so they may have some trading interest in those stocks.
Mr. Chopra, your disclosures?
I do not hold any of the stocks talked about today. My clients might be having.
All right, Avinash?
I don't hold any personal positions in the stocks mentioned today on the show. Our clients may be having, trading positions.
All right, Gaurang has already gives his disclosures as and when he discusses the stock, so I'm not going to take that again. Thank you so much for joining us, gentlemen. Pleasure talking to you. We have to take a very short break, and after that, we'll be discussing Mahindra CIE. We'll be